Hi, everybody. Let me first cross my fingers and hope that this stream goes through this time without any hiccups. We did have a few when I tried to go live last month, in that it did not actually go through on Instagram. So I am hoping that you guys will be able to see me on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at the same time. So if you do see me and you're there, please comment and let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to spend just a little bit looking to see if this is streaming live. Let's see. And I'm a little worried because I am not seeing anyone, which could possibly mean that you guys are not seeing me. Let's see. Oh, says there's 2 eyeballs on here. Oh, hey, there we go. So we're good on YouTube. That is good to see. Southern Indiana, what's the weather like there? Yay! All right, so we're firing on all cylinders from YouTube, it looks like, and I am not sure. Let me see. Hang on a second. All right. Hang on one moment, guys. And today we're talking about casting. So that's going to be a lot of fun for those of you who, let's see. Okay, sorry. Cold and lots of snow. Wow. Yikes. It's warming up here. And I'm in Vegas, which some of you guys may know. I am in Vegas. And okay. So and it has been very cold here, at least to me it's been cold. But it is now starting to warm up, and then we're going to have record-setting temperatures this weekend, which I'm super excited about. Okay. Yay. I wish I could actually hear you guys, but I'm glad. So today we are talking about casting for the Afterburn Aftershock film. I'm really curious, how many of you guys have have watched the film, if you have at all. I'm curious. Okay. So this, I'm thinking, is not actually streaming anywhere besides YouTube. And I wish I were less technically challenged with this, but that is where we are at. Let me see if I can swap this real quick. Because while it says that it is going, I do not see it. Sorry, guys. Let's see. All right. That may actually help there with Facebook. Snow mounds are finally going away. Oh, so, all right. So, have any of you guys watched the Afterburn Aftershock film, which is what we're going to be talking about today? And that came out in 2017. So, wow, it's been almost 10 years, which is really, really crazy to think about because it really feels like it was like last week. All right, we are good to go. Yay! That took a little bit. So 2017, and I believe that we actually optioned that material back in 2016, and that was with a romance streaming service called Passionflix. And they do book to film adaptations and some originals where they take either a romance novel or an original story written by a romance author and then adapt it for the screen. So I believe mine was like the second project after Hollywood Dirt. And while the book is set in New York, it was actually shot on location in Los Angeles due to budget concerns. There were, obviously with it being their second project, and they still are a fairly small independent studio. So, budgets were pretty small. So we shot on location in LA, and I was there for some of it and actually filmed a cameo. So if you watch it, you will catch a little bit of me in there. I had like a short blonde bob at the time because I love to play with my hair. I'm constantly, for a while there, changing colors and everything. Now I'm just keep it with my natural salt and pepper, but I do like to play with lengths and styles and so on and so forth. So if you catch me in that was during my blonde bob era. So we optioned the material to Passionflix, and then we worked on the script. There was a couple different iterations of that, which you would see now if you watch the film is pretty much exactly the book brought to life, which I can tell you, having worked with optioning the Crossfire series 3 times, that it's extremely hard to get a studio to commit to adapting the source material with integrity to it. They do a lot of reimagining, and sometimes they end up rewriting a completely different story. So being able to give you guys an adaptation of Afterburn and Aftershock that is actually true to the source material is really one of the things that I most appreciated about that whole experience was staying true to that. And then from there, we had to move into once we got the script where it needed to be, moving into casting for those parts. So I had no say really in casting. There were, a couple times where they kind of came to me for my impressions and thoughts, but the actual determination was made by the studio. So all those casting choices were done by then. There's some of those cast decisions that I was like super, super excited about. One of them was the part of Jax's dad, right? Played by Gordon Thompson. So back in the day, I was a huge fan of Dynasty, like those big late night soaps like Dallas, Dynasty, Knots Landing. Totally my thing. Obviously, it was like a cultural revolution at the time. Who Shot JR was all anything like anyone talked about during the summer that we were left with that cliffhanger in Dallas. So, did any of you watch like old school Dynasty? They did a reboot. I think about 10 years ago, they did a reboot of Dynasty with a new cast and just kind of, took the story from where it was and put the new cast into those parts. Yay. Okay. So we had a Facebook comments. I know we're streaming there. That's fabulous. So Gordon, of course, played one of the primary characters, and he of Adam Carrington. So his mom was Dame Joan Collins, Alexis Carrington, and then of course his dad was Blake Carrington, and he was a villain throughout the whole show, and I just loved him so much. In that part, he was so fabulous, and I just was thrilled when I found out that he was going to be playing the part of Jax's dad. I could not have imagined back when I was a kid, because when Dynasty was out, I was pretty young. That character that I loved to like hate watch so much on Dynasty was eventually going to end up in a movie based on a book that I wrote. That's like one of those pinch me moments where you just cannot believe that this is happening. I did not even imagine that when I was watching the show, even though I knew then that I wanted to be a writer. I never kind of took that from writing a book to actually having those things like adapted for film or television. So when I found out that he was being cast in that part, I could not have been more thrilled. I was able to spend time with him on the set when they were filming some of his parts. And I was told by the director that even though his part was very small, obviously, in a romance, you're very focused on the interaction between the hero and heroine. So we were really focused on spending time with Jax and Gianna, and everybody else, in the cast was really playing a supporting part to that. He really like dug deep into that character and really came up with a background for that character, which happened to align very much with my own background research that I had done with that character. And that's something that I do a lot. And I've talked about that before in some of the lives that we've done. And also, in some interviews, that the way I find my characters is by interviewing them. So I'll sit down with them and I'll start asking them questions about their past, what their motivations are, kind of like what that thorn in their paw is that drives them to the actions that they commit in the course of the story. And he did that same footwork in researching his character so that he could, even though none of that was in the book or even shown in the film, he had it so that it informed his performance for why he was the way he was, why his ambitions were what they were, why he pushed Jax into politics, was seeing a level of greatness in him that Gianna also saw, but in a different way. All came from him kind of fleshing out on his own what his relationship was with Jax's deceased mom and what their hopes and dreams were. And I just loved that he did that. I did pull, in case for some of you who didn't watch the old Dynasty. Somebody posted this fun little scene of him, and I thought that was fabulous. And so Gordon obviously was big, huge thing for me. Yay! I'm so glad. Yes, who shot you? Mary Cosby, right? It was fabulous. So, we the question about Crossfire film or TV. The reason why we're not getting into that is because I've gotten into it in every live that we've done for the last year, and it takes a lot of time to say the same things over and over again. There is a very comprehensive FAQ about that, which I will copy and paste here for you to go and read. For those of you who are interested in learning more about Crossfire, today we're specifically talking about Afterburn and Aftershock and the casting for Afterburn and Aftershock. One of the other actors who was cast that I had a lot of fun with was Smith, who played Deanna. Now, Deanna Johnson, you guys will remember, is in the Crossfire books. And some of you guys may or may not know that Crossfire characters book hop. So those of you who read everything that I write have seen Gideon and Ava and some of the secondary characters pop up in some of my other books. And Deanna is one of those characters who appears in Crossfire as an antagonist, and she is still an antagonist in Afterburn and Aftershock. That girl is who she is. And so casting her was really important because I'm like, this is a Crossfire character who is appearing in another book. So when I first saw her, and I met her in person, I will also share with you guys, there are photos if you guys want to see behind the scenes photos of the filming of Afterburn and Aftershock, which I am going to include that link there. So you'll see some of the actors at work, me with some of the actors, some of the sets. That was, it was really, really just super fun to see how movies are made and how the cast got into character and how they found the emotions of the scene that they were playing and those parts. So when I saw Deanna, I was like, wait a minute, I know her from somewhere. And then I remembered where it was. It was actually from an M&M commercial. And I'm going to include that commercial also here in that link where you can see, and you'll also see that the actress that played Deanna is naturally a redhead. And so she had to change the color of her hair to play Deanna, who is a brunette, because obviously, the women that were kind of passing through Gideon's life prior to Ava showing up, he tended to think that he liked dark-haired women. And then he met, of course, lovely sunny blonde Ava and realized that, he might have just not wanted to have like a less than version of his soulmate, who, of course, he believes, and I do too, and Ava as well, that those two have been meant to be with each other. And so, he was just waiting for her to appear in his life. So she had to change her hair color for that part, and I loved what she did with it. It was super fun. And so, if you watched the film or did watch the film, you'll be able to see her do that as well. I'm gonna quickly go through and make sure I didn't miss any of these other questions that you guys have. Hello, everybody who's just joining us on Facebook and YouTube. I'm so glad to see you guys. Today we're talking about the cast of Afterburn and Aftershock. That's one of the things that you guys wanted to talk about. Some of the other options, which we may end up covering in a future live if you guys end up choosing film and Afterburn, Aftershock again. So if you don't know, every Wednesday leading up to the final Wednesday of the month, we are asking you online to let us know what it is that you would like us to talk about. So this month, you guys chose film first, then Afterburn and Aftershock, and then from there, the casting. Some of the other options were production, locations, and some of those other things. And there's a lot of fun tidbits about that, especially how much thought goes into set design and what you see in the background that maybe might kind of go by you because you're focused on the characters and their interactions. I absolutely love Caitlin Leahy as Gianna. She brought that fire to it, that spark. Of course, she's just beautiful. She had just amazing chemistry with the three actors who played her brothers. And I just loved all three of those men so much. They brought just very different styles of actors, very different personalities. One was very serious. One was a little bit more lighthearted. One was like very well researched into how he was going to tackle that part. I loved all of them. They brought so much energy to that, and of course, you guys will see that it. Throughout all my works, family members play a big part in supporting the primary characters. And in the case of, Gianna and Jax, you could see how Gianna came from this very close, tightly knit, loving family, and Jax's situation could not have been more different, which really informed who he was and how he approached his relationship with Gia, and also how she approached it. She was very open and unguarded from the very beginning, and it took him a while to get there. And of course, it's a story of second chances. So when those two reconnected later on, you got to see that that she had become more guarded and restricted by her experience with Jax, which he comes to regret. So that was really it was really cool to see that play out with the actors and see them bring that dynamic. And of course, Gordon's experience really played a heavy part in that, and you understanding how that character worked. It filmed over a few weeks. I wasn't there for all of it because I had I had a convention that was going on at that time, all the way on the other side of the country. So on the day when I filmed my cameo, we had to report to the set like 3:30 or 4 a.m. In LA at an Italian restaurant that is a working at the time. Unfortunately, that location, though it had been there for decades, is no longer there. But at the time, it was a working restaurant, so they had to film in the middle of the night so that they would be able to clear out and open that space up to regular patrons when the restaurant opened to the public during normal hours. So showed up there at at just the middle of the night. It was still pitch black dark outside when we got there. There's two the parts that, so I played the blonde, which, as you can tell, I mean, I was blonde at the time, but it was actually kind of funny that I played the part of the blonde because the other part, which was the brunette, was played by my best friend, who is actually a natural blonde. So the natural blonde played the brunette, the unnatural blonde played the blonde. Those were our two parts. So when you see the other actress in the green dress with the short blonde hair, that's actually my best friend that I've known since I was in the Army. We were in the Army together. We met in the Army in our very, very early 20s. So I've actually now at this point in time known her longer than I haven't known her as far as the span of my lifetime. So that's a fun little tidbit for you, is that the other actress in that part was also not an actress like me, and is a really close friend of mine. So she was there with me when we filmed that scene. And then we immediately left the restaurant and went straight to LAX and hopped on a plane across the country to Orlando for a week-long convention that I had there for Romance Writers of America. So we didn't get to see the last part of filming. And then, of course, after that, it goes into editing. That's where they add the music and then some of those B-roll scenes of New York, and to kind of take it out of Los Angeles and make you feel as if we were actually filmed in New York. So that was really interesting, and I kudos to the location team for finding those areas where we could kind of get away and make you believe that we were somewhere we actually were not. What's next in the world of Gideon? Well, what's next is Elusive, right? That's now just weeks away at this point. We are super excited about that. I've been holding off on teasing you because we get the inevitable comments about it's too soon. I don't want to get too invested in it if it's going to be too far off. So you're going to start seeing some of those teasers pop up, opening chapters posted on the site and so forth. And we are really excited about that. Hello from Las Vegas. I am also a Las Vegan. That's what I say, but it's Las Vegan. So we are enjoying, I believe, 78-degree weather today, and it will be 84 on Saturday, which I'm super excited about. I'm like old school Gen X. I much prefer being out in the sun and having a tan. So I'm really looking forward to a pool weekend this weekend and hopefully getting a little bit of sun so I'm not so pale. Northern California, are you hot there or is it still cool? I born in Inglewood, Grew up in Los Angeles and steadily moved down into Orange County and San Diego before eventually moving to Las Vegas back at the end of 2013. But I was stationed in Monterey, California at the Defense Language Institute when I was in the Army. So I lived in Northern California for a couple of years and really loved it. Really, really loved Monterey and the whole surrounding area. But it had a tendency to be very foggy and cool versus, Southern California and in the Vegas area. So I'm excited about the weather, but I know that on the East Coast it is very, very cold. I've seen the pictures of the cars buried in that bomb cyclone that dropped all that snow on New York. So yeah, did you recognize Gordon when you watched Afterburn Aftershock? I was just so thrilled. I was so thrilled to be able to sit and talk with him. It was like such a big fangirl moment for him. And Jax's father really, had a lot of those traits of Adam Carrington. So I was very excited about that. Hello from Canada. Oh God, the last time I was in Canada was a few years back, and I'm really overdue for that. Book 3 for Ireland, yes, absolutely, yeah, absolutely. It is the first book, the first Ireland book, the first Crossroads book, covered a week. We get a little bit further along with Elusive, but the timeline is very much like the Crossfire series, which those 5 books only covered about 90 days. So it may feel like it's longer while you're reading it, but it's a very, very short. We don't even cover, half a year or a year in the Crossfire series. So, and of course, Ireland is sharing her book with Gideon Ava. Gideon Ava takes up about 25% of the story. So Gideon Ava didn't have to share their story with anyone, whereas Ireland is a little bit. But that's because, of course, she's very tight with her family, and Ronan is there for his reasons, which naturally involve the whole rest of her family. So we see a lot of them in that. How many books total? I'm not really sure. I will write until we get until the end. I really, really enjoy spending time with them. Those characters. I love Ronan so much because he sees in Ireland what she doesn't see in herself. And while her family is overprotective to the point of really not allowing her to stretch her wings, Ronan believes she is capable of absolutely anything and everything. And to be with someone who just believes the sky is the limit for you when you have grown up in an environment where you feel as if there is a ceiling to what you can accomplish is really one of the things that most attracts Ireland to Ronan, aside, of course, from the fact that he's very charming. So she's very charmed by him. Somerset in the UK. Hello. It is like 9:30 there, huh? At night. The being all the way over on Pacific time, puts me, I believe, 8 hours behind you there. Snowless Denver. Wow. See, now for whatever reason, whenever I've managed to be in Denver, it has snowed. And I've arrived in the most beautiful sunny weather and then woken up to snow the next day. And then by the evening, it's a nice, beautiful day again. I'm like, Denver is definitely one of those places where you need a big tote uh, big tote bags so that you can switch from like shorts and a tank top to like a parka and gloves in the same day and then back again, which I think is just so fun and unique about Denver. I was the last time I was in Denver was, I believe, in August for a Dirty Heads concert at Red Rocks, which was super a lot of fun, and I enjoyed that. Northeast Ohio. Are you having snow in Ohio, Ruth? I feel like right now half the country is buried in snow and half the country is enjoying very temperate weather. We're about to break heat records here in Vegas this weekend, so I'm hoping that doesn't mean it's going to be a very brutal summer, but it could possibly be. You know, Vegas is not known for temperate summers. Yay! I'm so glad you're excited about Ireland's continuing story. I have so much fun with her and Ronan, and of course now that Ronan and Gideon are occupying the same space, that has been super a lot of fun. Yeah, that really has been just absolutely a blast for me to see those two alpha males together. Considering they're both coming from a place of great affection for our fabulous, fierce Ireland. So it I'm so excited for you guys to get your hands on this book, and I'm so excited that it's so close. Time has just been flying by so fast that, you know, like we're just, when I started this stream today, was just thinking that next year is going to be 10 years since after the Afterburn and Aftershock film came out. 10 years. And I just cannot even believe that it has been that long. And of course the Crossfire series was optioned even before then, and the fact that that has not yet come to fruition after all this time just makes you realize like how long that series has been in development. I'm hopeful. Romance is really doing very well in Hollywood right now, both in television series and in film. And a lot of these romantic films and television shows are really exploring, you know, some angstier issues, which, you know, we always ran into a trouble with that with Crossfire, is the hesitation that I have seen over and over again in touching upon the subject of childhood sexual abuse. And you cannot go around that, rewrite that, excise it, reimagine it for an adaptation and expect to have anything resembling the books at all. So I'm hopeful that you know, Hollywood will become less timid about that topic. But you know, for a while it was very much you know, they just wanted to focus on as much sex as possible, and who really cares about, you know, character development or anything else. What I will tell you that in every instance in which my work has been optioned for adaptation, regardless of what the book was that was optioned, I have had to fight against screenwriters who want to make the heroines very weak, um, uneducated, struggling for money, and basically put at a disadvantage against the hero. Whereas, so there's no, the power dynamic is imbalanced from the start. They want to have this very weak heroine who is needing support from somebody, and to have this hero come in and rescue her. Which those of you guys who've been reading my books will know that I write the exact opposite story. I write very strong, ambitious, independent, intelligent, fierce women who rescue their heroes. So and most of the time, these discussions that I've had have been with women producers, women studio executives, women screenwriters. And I find that I find that shocking. So we talk a lot, and you read a lot, about actors and actresses talking about how it's very difficult to find parts that have strong, interesting, complex female characters. And um and it you kind of take from that, oh, this is a male focused industry, and that's why. I can tell you it's the women that are doing it. It is the women who are determined to portray that narrative of a woman who is lost or confused or in otherwise in some sort of emotional, mental, physical, financial disadvantage. And the hero is coming in and fixing that situation. It's really sad and very shameful, and I'm hoping that more writers will come in and do better at reflecting women as we actually are, and not perpetuating that sort of narrative, because that is the reason why you haven't seen a Crossfire adaptation yet, is because I am not at all interested in seeing scripts where Ava didn't graduate from college, Ava doesn't have any money, and Gideon has to come in and just completely take over her life. There are other books out there for that you can pick up. Do not take books with strong female characters and then try to dumb them down to reach that audience. I feel like is just such a disservice to women and the books and the readers of that story and so forth. You live in Washington State, so and you may know, if you guys have followed these lives for the past year, that I spend the summers up in Federal Way in Washington. We spend from June through the end of September up there, most years, to get out of the heat of Vegas. I have 3 very active dogs. Also, I'm very active, and so are my kids, and we like to get out and do stuff, and so that gives us the opportunity to be able to get out of the house. Whereas in Vegas, a lot of the times it gets so hot where they tell you, like, stay indoors, stay hydrated. Don't that, the heat is not really great for you physically. And so that kind of, one summer we sat around and looked at each other and went, sitting in the house with all the curtains and everything closed because the heat's kind of coming in, and not being able to get out is not really for us. So I love Washington. It is absolutely my second home, and we love it. I'm looking forward to being back there in June, as much as I am enjoying the lovely temperate weather in Vegas right now. Also, I don't know if you noticed, but my next convention book signing is next month, and it's here in Vegas. It will be at the Flamingo Hotel. It is Book Lovers Con, and Book Lovers Con was initially the I want to make sure I say this correctly. The event coordinator for Book Lovers Con was also the event director coordinator for the Romantic Times convention. So I don't know if any of you guys ever had the opportunity to go to the Romantic Times convention when the Romantic Times magazine was still in circulation. But those, huge conventions, the Book Lovers Cons are much more intimate, a lot more face-to-face time with the authors and everything. And anyway, there's that book signing here in Vegas in just, I think, 4 weeks now, a little over 4 weeks from now. And so for those of you that are anywhere in the Vegas area or would like to drive out to Vegas for a weekend, that weekend of Book Lovers Con in March, I'll be here signing with a bunch of other authors. I'll be doing a panel with Helen Hart, and there's, forgive me, the panel is for dark romance. So it's me and Helen Hart and another author whose name I'm going to look up right now because you should know it. I should know it. But I am in like book lover's brain right now, so you'll need to forgive me for that. But we'll be discussing dark romance. So there's fun things like that where we have panels and we're talking about things. Jessica Scott. Sorry. I'm so sorry, Jessica. It's not you. It's definitely my brain. So me and Helen Hart and Jessica Scott will be talking about dark romance for an hour with readers and answering your questions about that. So, fun things like that. Also, casino night and other things. Also, you can just go to the book signing and just get your book signed. So that's really, that's also an option if you are around the Vegas area or want to be around the Vegas area during that time. And I posted a link to that if you guys are interested in more information. Yeah, I know. Adaptations are really tough. And that's one of the things I can say that I was really happy about, with the adaptation of Afterburn Aftershock was how faithful it was to the actual books. So we're down to the last 10 minutes of the live. I'm sorry. We had a little bit in the beginning where I don't think it was like streaming correctly into Facebook. So I'm glad that it is it's working now. And I'm sorry that it took a little bit to get going there. I will see if I can work out those kinks next time. But if you have any questions before we sign off, I would be happy to answer them for you, whether that is about the Afterburn Aftershock film, or if it is about anything else that you have questions about. I'm happy to answer those. It's so exciting. Oh, North Carolina. It's snowing, right? Or you're under snow, or it's been cold there. I feel like the whole eastern seaboard has just been hit with winter, like repeatedly. Hopefully you guys will be able to defrost and thaw out through, in the coming weeks. But thank you. I'm so glad you enjoy my work. I still sit here and I think, wow, I sat down to write my first book in October of 2003. And when I say that, I've always been a writer. So I have like giant plastic storage tubs of notebooks, composition notebooks, and 3-ring binders of stories that I was writing from when I was able to write. I just have always been a storyteller. I've always wanted to write. It's always been a great creative outlet for me. So, I'd say, I came out the womb a writer, and I really did. But it was in October of 2003 that I sat down and said, I'm actually going to write a book from start to finish and see if I can get published. And I was very fortunate in that I sold my first like contracted work was a short story, and I sold that in the spring. So within a few months after I sat down to write, I sold that first story. I sold a story to a magazine. I sold a story to Virgin Books in the UK. And then, then I started, it just kind of steamrolled from there. I sold my first, full-length book to New York publisher in the fall of 2004. So within a year after I started to write, I was considered, on my way. And I've been writing ever since. And to sit here and go, wow, it's like 2026. It has been, like the wildest, like 23 years. I just feel so blessed to still be here doing what I love, to have the, no, I will not be live next Wednesday. So the way we do it is every Wednesday, excluding the last Wednesday of the month, which is when the live is scheduled. So every last Wednesday of the month at 1 p.m. Pacific time, 4 p.m. Eastern time, I will go live. The previous Wednesdays, starting with the first Wednesday all the way through into that last Wednesday, is we're surveying you. We're asking you what it is you want to talk about. So next Wednesday, the first poll will go up asking which macro topic you want to talk about, whether that's writing, whether that's films, whether it's about my personal process. We will ask you for that macro topic. And then once you pick that topic, the following weeks, we're going to narrow it down until we get to, like, today's topic was specifically about the cast of the Afterburn and Aftershock film. It could be production on the Afterburn Aftershock film. It could be about the Beyond Words documentary and what it was like filming that. You guys are going to pick those topics. And we've been doing this for a year now. And every once in a while, a topic repeats, but mostly, it's a different topic every month. Your choice. And then on the last Wednesday, I get on here and we talk about it directly, whatever it is that you wanted to know. No snow. I've got to tell you, I'm dying to get to North Carolina at some point. It is absolutely on my list. I hope you love Ireland. I had so much fun writing it and continuing the story. I'm so excited for a couple months from now where we'll be able to talk about the book. Probably I'm thinking that the last Wednesday of April, maybe we'll just dedicate to talking about Elusive. But again, I'll leave that up to you guys to decide what it is that you want to watch. So you can rent or purchase Afterburner Aftershock on Amazon. It is also available to stream through the streaming service that produced it, which is Passionflix. That does require a membership, but up to you if you want to subscribe to yet another streaming service to watch some of the other things that they've adapted. They are a very small independent studio that does specifically adaptations of romantic works written by authors. So some of them are books, and some of them are like original stories written by authors that you may know. So You can look there. Let me see if I have a link to that. I may. Or you can just rent or watch it on Amazon. So that's also an option if you're maxed out on streaming services, which I totally get as someone who has a lot of streaming services myself. I know that it can be fatiguing, but yes, you can just get it on Amazon if you want to do that. Yay! So see, like, there are totally options for how you can watch it, and there are you may find if you look at the Passionflix catalog that they have adapted some of your other favorite books, and so then a membership, or subscribe for a month and then pause, whatever. There's always options. I feel I'm glad it's available on Amazon for those who have streaming fatigue. But I also think it's great that if you read a lot of romance, that you have like this catalog of adapted works of very popular romantic fiction that you can watch on Passionflix, and I think that's a lot of fun for all of us. Yay! I'm so glad to hear that. Thank you so much, guys, for reading my work. It means the world to me. I mean, I would be writing no matter what, because I just can't not write. It's just so much a part of who I am. And I get really antsy after a while if I'm not actively writing. But there's a difference between writing a story and just having it be with you, and writing a story and being able to share that experience with you, and to share the same friends with you and the same experience, and that we can get together at times like this and have conversations about these people that we love and the situations that they're experiencing, and the struggles that they're going through. That more than a film adaptation or anything else brings the stories to life, and that magic really comes from you, the reader. And I am so grateful that you guys bring that into my life, and that we share that connection with each other. It means the world to me, and I'm just so grateful for you guys all the time. I think that all the time. Thank you for spending this last hour with me. I hope I answered all of your questions, but if I didn't, you can feel free to post questions when this live, kind of gets stored permanently on social media, so that I can, follow up and make sure that I answered any questions that came up during this time. But thank you so much for spending this last hour with me. And I look forward to seeing what topics you pick next month, and chatting with you again in just a few weeks. Okay. Thank you guys so much. And stay cool if you're someplace warm. Stay warm if you're someplace cold. And I'll talk to you in a few weeks. And then a few weeks after that, we'll be talking about Ireland and Ronan again. So I'm really looking forward to that. All right. Much love, guys. Thank you. Bye.